On radio, on YouTube, and on your smartphone, this is Tutor Speaks. We invite all listeners to tune into I-95.5 every Thursday morning at approximately 7:25 for Tutor Speaks, a program which highlights local, regional, and international issues affecting the education sector.
Good morning, everyone. This is the segment Tutor Speaks, and I'm your presenter, Barry Joel Desai. When school-age children are kept at home without a valid reason, it is a serious matter. This is because Trinidad and Tobago ascribes to the United Nations Universal Declaration and Convention on the Rights of the Child, in which the right of a child to access education at both the primary and secondary levels is delineated. The Education Act 1966, as amended, also affirms children's right to education by stipulating that schooling is compulsory for those who are over 5 and under 16 years of age. Subsequently, the suspension of pupils from school is also a very serious matter, as it arguably denies them their legal right to education. In this segment, we will consider the general rules regarding suspension and expulsion of pupils. Defined as the temporary removal of a pupil from a particular school, there are several grounds for suspension given in the Education Act and other subsidiary legislation. It may be observed that all these relate to protecting pupils from various forms of harm. For example, Section 46 of the Education Act authorizes principals to suspend pupils who may be likely to communicate any contagious disease. The reason for this is obviously to protect the other pupils as well as members of staff. Section 44 also gives principals the power to suspend pupils whose conduct may be considered injurious or dangerous to other pupils, or if their attendance at school is likely for any serious cause to have detrimental effect upon the other pupils. This focus on other pupils suggests that suspension is meant to be a protective measure for the majority rather than punitive action against the few. The suspension of a pupil is limited to a maximum of 7 days, which begins the day after the notice of suspension is served on the parent or legal guardian. However, an extension of this period may be requested by the principal. After receiving a copy of the notice of suspension and other related documents, the minister may extend the suspension period or reinstate the pupil after due process. Alternatively, an order can be made for the pupil to be moved to another school or completely expelled. Note that the Minister of Education is the only person with the legal authority to expel a pupil from a public school, and that whatever order is given is final. The Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association affirms the dedication and commitment of our educators in patiently and professionally mentoring their pupils towards maximizing their potential. Considering age and maturity level, teachers use a progressive discipline approach to guide wayward pupils towards the right path. As such, suspension is the last corrective measure that a teacher would recommend, and only after counseling, detention, parental contact, student support services intervention, and other suggested strategies have been thoroughly exhausted. Teachers' patient nurturing is the reason that the vast majority of pupils will never face the prospect of a suspension, far less for expulsion. Nevertheless, there are some cases of misconduct for which it is mandatory for principals to suspend pupils immediately, some of which must also be reported to the police. Principals are directed to impose the maximum suspension for the following forms of misconduct. 1. Possession of illicit drugs regardless of the quantity. 2. Possession of arms and/or ammunition. 3. Using fire to destroy or attempt to destroy property. 4. The use, threat of use, possession or sale of explosive material or look-alike devices. 5. Bomb threats and/or false alarms. 6. Extreme violence to anyone. 7. Possession or consumption of alcohol on school premises. And 8. any form of assault on any member of staff in any school. In closing, it is noteworthy that regarding assaults on members of staff, whether these are verbal, simple, physical, or aggravated assaults, principals are directed to impose maximum suspension. Earlier subsidiary legislation explained that such offences are so reprehensible that they must attract severe sanctions regardless of mitigating factors. Tutor is in complete agreement with this posturing. This zero-tolerance policy sends a resounding message that teachers should always be treated with dignity and with respect.
You have been listening to Tutor Speaks. To contact us, please dial 610-3850. That's 610-3850. Or you may email our president at president@tutor.org. That's president@ttuta.org. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where recordings of interviews, events, and other materials are uploaded regularly. Like us by giving a thumbs up, hit the notification bell, and subscribe.